Good morning, folks. Baz here. Okay, so today I want to go over something that, I kind of want to point it out a while ago, and a couple of things happened that kind of sort of reminded me of this type of discussion. So what I want to talk about today is extremes, and I mean extremes. I mean the extreme natures of people, or types of people that end up painting the rest of the people with bad stigmatisms, right? So, for instance, um, not every cop is a horrible cop. Not every cop is corrupt. But then we get a lot of videos of extremes in which there's cops who don't know the laws and abuse people who don't know their rights either. So you have those extremes, and they make the rest of them look bad, right? Or another one is what the trans community is to the LGBT community. You see, for y'all who are not, for y'all who are younger and weren't really part of the political landscape during the time of of gay rights and gay marriage being made legal, there are a lot of people who were, how you say, they were nervous. They saw gay marriage as a sort of gateway drug towards other things happening that would be wrong or threats to children. And there are many gays who argued against it, saying that gays were not after the kids. Well, the trans community in these past 4 years have become the extreme, and so have tarnished, what it means to be LGBT. And a lot of LGBT people are really, really uncomfortable with it. But I'm not here to bash that. Actually, what I want to speak about is the extremes of the other side, my own side, unfortunately. So, grifters do happen, and when you take into account the landslide victory that Donald Trump pulled, you could imagine that being a MAGA supporter is now becoming the trend, and that's part of the issue. Is things are when things trend just because of trend versus people really feeling how they feel. Like, I'm not jumping on the MAGA bandwagon because Trump just won. I've been pro Trump for the past 12 years. Um, or I should say 8. But in this situation, you have people who are now, I think some of them are saying things just to make jabs, just to sound like they're on that side, or they use it. So, for instance, had this is silly shit. This is really silly shit. It's really petty. I'm in a Facebook group for the show called From. I don't know if y'all ever heard of the show called From, but I'm in a Facebook group for it. And people have been making a joke that why would anyone want to leave? If you ever seen the show, I don't want to spoil too much, but um, people were making the claim, why would anyone want to leave that town? They got free food, they got free electricity, they don't got to pay bills, and it's pretty communal. This one gentleman expressed that people who think like that must be 8 years old. I expressed that calling them years old isn't an argument. It doesn't express why they're wrong. Um, he turned around and told me I must have been a Kamala supporter. Now, it's doesn't make any sense. Even if whether or not I am, it doesn't make sense to go back and forth and say yes or no that I am. My thing was, this has nothing to do with politics. This was a topic about the show From and the argument you made. My politics, who I voted for, has nothing to do with this topic. But to me, that is one of the examples of the extremists that that's the extreme right. Those are the people that I'm actually really worried about, because they're gonna make the rest of us look stupid. So, using that as a insult, or you must be a Kamala supporter, as far as I'm concerned, you've become the same leftist that you think that I am, because that's pretty much what the left would do to people in these debates. If you watch your Parkers and whatnot, your 20 versus 1 debates on Jubilee and shit, it ends up boiling down to ad hominem, right? It ends up boiling down to personal attacks. That's what they do. Every right wing person I follow or watch, they don't dwindle this shit down to ad hominem. They don't dwindle this shit down to personal attacks. So to attack a person on a topic and say, "Oh, you must have been a Kamala supporter," that to me is actually the opposite. You were the Kamala supporter, and now because your team lost and you don't look like the idiot or be made fun of because now Kamala is not trending and Trump is, you decide you're gonna say that I'm the Kamala supporter. Another one is, and this one kind of really bothered me. I was watching a video earlier. This one was a sort of one of those cop audit videos. I try to stay away from the cop audit videos because while I agree with expressing your rights and living them, antagonizing situations with officers just seems like a recipe for annoyance, and it seems unnecessary. But in this situation, it wasn't one of those. The gentleman was a truck driver from Fort Worth, Texas, I think he said it was, and he was somewhere in Ohio. I guess he was doing a layover. He had to do some shipping or whatever, and in between the waiting and staying at the motel, he decided he was gonna go down to a bar that was nearby. Paid money at the bar, and two gentlemen who were off-duty AFT and DEA officers decided they wanted to give this guy a hard time, and that they were gonna start jamming him up because they thought that he was illegal. And thankfully, the real cops got involved, and the real cops they riot things. So this is not a jab at the cops. This is a jab at taking the shit to the extreme. They assumed he was illegal, and they must make an issue with him. So this one gentleman, they dragged him out of the bar and they put him in a leg lock so this way he couldn't move. Like, you're assaulting the gentleman. These are the extremes. You are an embarrassment to us. Don't do this shit. Okay, there's so many people who were fighting for Republicans and for on our behalf, and they're trying to let the other side know we are not that. And you are showing these people that there are people who are that there are people who are racist, who just assume that everyone that this immigrant is illegal and needs to be deported. You can't do that. And these are the extremes that do bother me, because I'm not that. I'm not that person that's looking at every single immigrant and wondering, no, you deserve to be here. Are you a citizen? And then attacking them and holding them against their will until a cop shows up. I don't have the authority to do that. The cops, the local PD, don't have the authority to do that. That's a federal situation. I'm not in agreement with illegal aliens, but our local PD do not have the jurisdiction to handle illegals. That is federal. And I don't agree with just walking up to people and harassing them and demanding to know that they're citizens. Everyone has a right to privacy. Does an illegal have that right? Probably not. But how do you know the person is not illegal? Your assumption doesn't make it so. And this gentleman, he said he had been here for 4 years. He had a valid Texas ID, and all that. The cops let him go. The cops didn't give him a hard time. They were on his side. I don't know what happened with the other gentleman, as far as long story, if they got reprimanded or whatever. But my takeaway was, I don't like that. I don't like those extremes. My pops is an immigrant as well. Now, me and my pops, we don't be getting along, but he's still an immigrant. He's been here for years, and he's not illegal. You know what I mean? If someone wants to give him a hard time because they think he's illegal, like, I have family that's immigrants. They're not illegal, so I can empathize with immigrants. I have family that's immigrants. Not everyone who's in this country is here on false pretense, or wrongly so. So that's what I wanted to point out. Those are the individuals I think need addressing. If you are an extremist, stop calling yourself MAGA. Stop calling yourself a Republican. Stop calling yourself any of that, because we ain't none of that shit. If you want to make yourself and be that on your own, make your own little circuit of that. Don't associate yourself with us. Don't associate yourself with MAGAs, with right wing. Don't do that, because you're just an extreme asshole, to be honest. If anything, to me, those individuals look just as bad as the blue-haired maniacs that shout people down because they disagree with what that person is saying. You know what I mean? You're taking shit to an extreme, and you're making the rest of us look terrible. But that's more or less what I want to point out. That's more or less what I want to address. This probably wasn't a very long video, but it's just something that's been weighing on my mind, because I don't like seeing people be wronged. And just because you say you're right leaning, just because you say you're MAGA, doesn't mean I'm going to automatically be on your side when you do something stupid. You know what I mean? That's just how critical thinking works. No matter what political side you're on, if you do something stupid, you're gonna get called out for it. That's fair. But yeah. Other than that, it's been a good weekend. I'm still gaining my weight. I'm still doing my workouts. Actually, the last week I only did 2 days out of the week, which I slacked. I chopped that up to holidays and whatnot. But this week I'm right back on the ball. That's pretty much it for now. Y'all take care. Be well. Baz out.